them bonus beats.
Time for some. You wanna know why? Time for some.
Oh yeah.
Time for some. You wanna know why? Time for some. Time for some.
Come a long way since we
Yes,
started.
we have, very quickly, too.
It's grown faster than I thought it would.
Well, thanks to all your diligence. You know, Grandma just gets high and fucking talks her ass off. She doesn't know what she's talking about half the time. But, no, Scott does all our editing and and created our background and the beat. I really like the beat.
Yeah, Jim. You'll meet Jim. He's the one interviewing us. All right, so welcome to Getting High with Grandma. I am Scott, and with me, as always, is Grandma. How you doing today, Grandma?
Grandma's doing good.
Right on. Before we jump into things, I just want to let you guys know I designed some merch, hoodies and T-shirts. I feel bad, even though we're providing content, asking for donations. So they're really high quality hoodies. $75 for a hoodie and I believe $30 for a T-shirt.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. You can email me at gettinghighwithgrandma@gmail.com. Let me know your size and I will get them ordered for you.
And they're not from China.
No.
Oh, sorry.
So what's going on?
Grandma's always out of line. Why would I say something like that? We could have fans in China for all I know.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the World Wide Web.
At the World Wide Web.
It's crazy what we're able to do now, just because of we could have never done this when I was a kid.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Like all you need is a laptop.
Shit, I remember party lines on the damn telephone. Okay.
I remember the channel where you could call in and order music videos. They were like 99 cents or something. My mom used to get pissed because it would come onto her cable bill. You know, like it was called The Box or something like that.
Oh, we didn't have cable.
Was cable invented? I'm just kidding.
No, it wasn't. I remember my aunt getting some stock or partnership with some guy who was starting a cable company in San Francisco, and that was just, not everybody had cable, only,
Foo-foo.
yeah,
Or they had the big satellite dishes in their yard. Remember those?
oh yeah.
The giant
Well,
ones.
not in San Francisco, you didn't. Your yard wasn't big enough, but anyway.
So today I kind of wanted to talk about your prison time, if that's okay.
Oh yes, we're gonna get this done.
You gonna share?
No, not if I don't have to. No, where was I? I was in Santa Rosa. Oh,
How you got there? Remember the flight?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You know, when this bus stall came down, my husband at the time was in the apartment and I was outside in the car when the cops surrounded us. I think that's where we left off. And anyway, needless to say, he had taken the money and thrown it down the garbage chute and then went down and picked it up and took off with it, okay? So Grandma's arrested and I'm sitting in the county jail. This was my first arrest, first offense, so I knew nothing about.
But didn't you say you were kind of relieved? Like,
Well, I
could
I
excel.
was tired. I was absolutely tired. I figured out later, of course, through all this reflection and stuff, I figured out I had 10 years of running and partying and
dirty running.
doing crazy things and so anyway, what blew my mind, make a long story short, because the county jail needs to be short. How inhumane to keep people
I always heard county was worse.
That's what I heard from all the girls. They told me they had been sitting there for months. They had we already talked about the slow justice system, right? Well, these girls were sitting in county jail for months. They had already been sentenced, and they're waiting to go down to the pen. Now, at the time, there was only one women's prison in California, and it was down in Frontera, California, which is way south. Okay, so we were way north. These girls were waiting for months to be bused down to this penitentiary.
It's a long bus ride too, I'd imagine.
Well, at least 10 hours.
Oh. And they're like old school buses, aren't they?
I don't know. I never got to see the bus.
Right. That's right.
I never got to see the bus. I was there for 2 weeks. And all of a sudden they were calling me, and everybody's pissed off because I had only been there 2 weeks. They had been there for months. And what they did was they took me to a private plane, and they handcuffed me in this plane. And, you know, Scott, to this day, I don't know why or what justification they had to put me in a private plane to fly me to the pen. I'm only doing 4 years, right?
And who else was on it?
There was some other gal that was on it. You know,
So just you two?
There was just 2 of us gals, and it was only a 4-seater plane anyway. But this pilot, he thought it was just funny to roll this plane because we're handcuffed to the seat. Okay, I got there. When I got to prison, I was pissed off anyway, but I was really pissed off. But it was mind-boggling what made yes, my friends in the city were bookmakers and bar owners and this, that, the other, but they weren't, they weren't what I would consider dangerous mafioso that would pull a machine gun out and maybe stop this bus to prison to release me. So anyway, I decided, there was a lot of thinking and reflecting that I needed to do. I didn't even know what was going on, okay? And I got to prison, and it was just a culture shock.
Because you see from every walk of life, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, every walk of life. First of all, we'll get into this. Instantly, they want to classify you, okay? And it's on all your government forms. They want to classify you Caucasian, Hispanic, Black,
Oriental.
American, Indian. I don't recall seeing too many Asians.
I think Oriental's actually a derogatory term now.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. But I thought that was odd, and what was really odd was when I checked Caucasian, this guard said to me, oh, no. She says, I cannot classify you as Caucasian. And she checked Hispanic. Well, I had just gotten back from South America, and yes, I was very dark, but like I told her,
You're Eastern European, aren't you?
I'm Eastern European, yes.
100%?
And I says to this guard, whoever heard of a Hispanic with the last name of Kolchak? Okay?
No shit.
Okay, let's make a little common sense. Well, these guards are not the brightest cup of tea, okay? And she says to me, well, you appear to be Hispanic to me. I said, but I'm not. Yeah. She says, well, I cannot classify you as Caucasian. I said, my blonde hair, blue-eyed mother's going to be highly upset to find out her daughter is no longer white. Well, she turned around, and there's a box she checked for other. And she says, I'm going to classify you as another. I said, what the hell is another? She says, anything that is other than visibly, recognizably Caucasian, Black, Hispanic. I said, what do you mean? she says, for instance, which it kind of made sense. And
And it was
again,
safety.
I'm trying to make sense of things. Well, I didn't want to be roomed with the Caucasian girls any more than I wanted to be roomed with the Hispanic girls, okay? I mean, I've been a loner all my life. All I wanted was a cell, okay?
Just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, leave me the fuck alone. So, anyway, she explained it to me. She says, let's say you escaped from prison and you're walking down the street and we put out an
PB.
APB out for you saying Caucasian woman. They're gonna drive right past you because you don't appear
point.
you don't appear white. Yes, what was a good point. Then I met a couple others. Others. Okay,
Albinos.
others. Well, there was one girl who was black. She was obviously black. She had the black features and everything, but she had that pigment disease going on. So she was kind of pink with splotches here
Yeah.
and there. Okay, she had to be classified an other because if they classified her as black, it wouldn't take but a little makeup to cover those splotches. Just like Michael Jackson, you no more longer appear black. Okay, there was another gal who was very obviously mixed black and Asian.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, a
Exotic.
rarity. Well, yeah, there weren't. I don't recall very many Asians there. Okay, and we're talking a long time ago. So, she was another, and I thought, how odd, you know. So, but then it turned out to be a good thing because when it came to jobs or housing or anything else, they had to racially be equal and pick so many Caucasians, so many blacks,
So many others.
and so many others.
many others are
There
there?
were 6 of us. Okay,
Your
so
odds go through the roof.
we were always selected for whatever we wanted. I found it very.
You were with the special kids.
Yeah, I was with the special kids. You know, I was so special. I remember the first couple of nights I was there, and I don't know. This gal walked down the hall, and our cell doors are open, and she pops her head in, and she's going, "Hi, hello, you know, nice to meet you." I growled at her. I said, "Get the fuck out and shut my door while you're at it." And she walked down the hall, and I could hear her saying to the black girls, you know, "She must be a racist." And this other black gal said, "No, that's Kojak. She growls at everybody." Okay, you know. So my precedence was set. Also, interestingly,
You just kept to yourself. The whole
I
time.
always kept to myself. Always have, always will, you know. But I found it very interesting. Again, I decided that this little trip to prison was a lesson.
Yeah.
Okay? And there was something I was supposed to learn from it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I wasn't going to make the judgment.
You were open to it.
I was open to whatever. Well, I expected all this hardcore shit and people stabbing each other.
shanked in
And,
the shower.
Yeah, you know, and it wasn't like that at all. First of all, I was very impressed that the black women who, I guess maybe the way I was raised or where I was raised, I expected them to be the most angry, violent of the population.
Yeah.
The majority, now I'm not going to say all, the majority of the black women went religious. They went to Bible study. They went to, you know.
They were trying to
church.
rehabilitate.
Yeah, whatever, you know.
To each his own, whatever
yeah,
works for you. Like you were doing what
To
you were.
each their own. I was doing my reflection. They do their religion. The white girls, I found to be
Angry.
well,
Need to prove something.
hardcore. You know, they thought they were hardcore. You know, and you know, they were all into Harleys, and you know, most of them were there for. Well, I shouldn't say that either. I met a lot who were there for welfare fraud and mostly drugs, and that's another thing I'll get into. The Hispanics, of course, they were the most homosexual group, I called it. Okay?
The most what?
I called it homosexual group.
Homosecting.
Homosexual. I don't know where I came up with that word. It just seemed to fit.
It's going to be our next T-shirt.
And I didn't even, we weren't even into that. But it was very interesting how a lot of them came in as women, but decided they were going to be men in prison. But when they had visitors, they went back to being a woman. But, anyway, the Hispanics were some of the, they made good looking dudes, okay? I
love it.
But anyway, so what else went on? Oh, again, back to the racial thing. I found it, and I'm reflecting, I thought it was a little strange because they also housed you by your race. Whites were housed, and that's why I was so adamant about not being labeled Hispanic, okay? Whites were a room with whites, blacks were a room with blacks, Hispanics with Hispanics, and so on. But don't you think this would be your opportunity to force people to learn each other's culture, beliefs, and like me, be pleasantly surprised to find that all your beliefs and all your little stereotypes are wrong.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they're wrong. So I didn't like the. But again, I was another, so I always had a cell to myself. Number one, nobody wanted to room with me. I didn't have anything. I know. This gal, I wanted a joint so bad. That's all I wanted, okay? I didn't want any cocaine. I didn't want a drink, but I wanted a joint. And this girl says to me, the white girls were the ones with the weed, okay? So she says to me, $5 a joint. And I says to her, well, I'll get you on canteen day, right? She goes, no. She says, it's $5 cash. I looked at her, I said, where the hell am I going to get cash? I'm sitting here in prison just like you.
Yeah.
Right? She goes, don't you have any visitors? Your visitors smuggle you cash. Well, I didn't.
It's like a whole economy.
I didn't have any visitors, so I was out the box, right? Well, cured me. She finally broke down and decided to take some coffee or cigarettes or whatever for her joint. And this fucking thing was a pinner, okay? And as long as I hadn't gotten high, this weed didn't do. I said, I'm done. So I never searched for drugs while I was in prison, although they were there.
Did you get stoned while you were there?
No.
Not at all?
No, I decided after getting that pinner for that fucking $5, I said no. Okay, again, this is my chance to take inventory about who I was, what I have been doing in life, whether it was right or whether it was wrong.
That's what you take out of it.
I wanted to, something, okay? What really one time really fucked my chi. I'm waiting, and even as another, I'm waiting to be put into some kind of training class. I figured if I had a marketable skill, I wouldn't have to bartend. I wouldn't have to smuggle drugs. I wouldn't have to sell drugs. All I needed was this marketable skill. This was what was going through my mind at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I finally went to the counselor's office, and I'm pounding on her door, right? And I'm telling her, look, man, I've been waiting months now to get into a training class. She goes, well, there's a lot of people ahead of you. I said, yeah, well, I don't see those lot of people pounding on your door, and I am. Okay? Yeah. So she got me into a training class, which turned out to be a waste of time. They put me in medical assistant training, right? Well, 3 months into this class, the teacher's talking about anybody with a drug record will never be employed in this capacity.
What are you training?
That's exactly what I said. So I realized that once again, I was depending on them to furnish me with something, a marketable skill, this, that. I quickly realized that these people were not there to rehabilitate you. They were not They were not there to.
What is it about the warden?
Yeah, we'll get into that, but they were not there to help you.
Yeah.
Okay, the warden. I thought it was a little strange, but I'd never been to prison before. They were telling us to write your people on the outside, right, and have them send you a care package, and you could have Levi's, tennis shoes, this, that, the other, okay? Just, they couldn't be khaki colored like the guards' uniform.
Couldn't look like the guards.
Okay, yeah, you couldn't look like the guards, so... You know, my mother sent me a pink sweater, pink socks, pink underwear. The guard says, I take it you like pink. I said, no, but my mother does. You know, she was afraid of that homo-sex thing too. So anyway, it turns out everybody had been, we were walking around. It was like a college campus. We're all in our own clothes. We're walking around. We're walking the yard.
Makes it easier to homosexual.
Well, it turns out the prison gets raided. The warden is arrested. She is arrested for embezzling funds, okay? She was collecting money from the state for prison uniforms, laundry, this, that. We had to do our own laundry. There was no laundry, okay? So she gets arrested, and she ended up having to be sent to Texas to do her time because they couldn't house her.
Oh, they could.
Well, I thought they should have, because you know what? Okay, again, my reflecting. You are locking me up, first of all, for selling vitamin B12, but we won't go there again, okay? But you're locking me up for supposedly committing a crime, but you're doing the same thing while you're in office. There was a big skedaddle one time where the inmates were complaining they weren't getting any meat.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't have to go to the cafeteria to eat because my dear husband,
How much?
I found out he put that money that I dropped down the garbage chute, he took off with, he put it on my books before he went to the pen. $6,000 I had on my books,
Holy
okay?
shit.
So anyway, needless to say, they're all complaining because they got no meat. Well, they pull a raid on the prison, and in the trunks of all the officers' car is the meat. Okay? And I'm just going, again, you are locking me up because I supposedly committed a crime. But what are you doing? You're not doing it. You're doing the same thing I was doing, just in a different manner, and you're going to walk free.
Do you know how much time she got?
Oh, no, I don't.
I wonder if she got less than you. That would be fucked up.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me if they gave her restitution and
She didn't serve a day.
you know,
And she actually embezzled a lot of money, and you sold... Yeah, you sold made
I sold vitamin B12, okay?
14 and a half times.
No, the justice system is a trip. Oh, that was another thing while I was there. I was looking up this jailhouse lawyer, telling her I wanted to file an appeal. Okay, I was promised probation, county time,
Yeah.
and pled. Well, this jailhouse lawyer says, honey, you're not going to do enough time for this appeal to ever go through. I says, what are you talking about?
That's fucked up.
Years. She says, I got 4, you do 2, because as long as you're working, you do half time.
Man. They don't give you a choice. You have to. The only way you can really fight it is if you have money.
Well, now that's not true. You know, there's people who are doing 25 to life. Oh, I had this girl. I don't know if we got into this.
I don't know either.
This girl, you want to talk about how fast all it takes is a second, okay? Just 1 second, one wrong decision, and it could cost you your life. This little girl was thrown into my cell for a few days. And, you know, we all talk about each other's files and case and da-da-da-da-da. And she was telling me she got life plus 7. I said, what? What the hell is that? When you die, they're going to throw you back in my cell for 7 years? What is life plus 7? Well, I never knew. Life, at least in the state of California, life meant 7 years. And the plus 7 made it 14 years before she could ever come up for parole. This little girl couldn't have been a day over 18. I'm going, what in God's name could you have done to deserve this?
Yeah.
I mean, a young kid can make a mistake without even thinking, okay? And it turns out the neighborhood dealers driving around, okay? And these 3 young minors wanted to buy some dope. So he offers them a ride around the neighborhood, right? And they got in his car, and he drives around and he picks up another adult who gets in the car. So there's 2 adults and 3 minors, okay? They were from Southern California. He drives them all out to the desert, and him and this other adult gets out of the car, and they're having conversation. And then it becomes an argument. And the next thing you know, the drug dealer pulls out a gun and blows this guy away. Okay? Now you're talking murder 1. Okay? So he tells these kids, each and every one of you are going to take a shot at this dead body, or I'm going to kill you.
Fuck.
Okay? They don't doubt him. They just saw him blow somebody away. And what the hell is the difference? It's a dead body.
Yeah.
So they each shot the body. Now you cannot tell which bullet killed that body. So you're talking murder 2. Okay, and she was 17 at the time, got tried as an adult and got life plus 7.
Why the fuck would anybody convict her? Because you couldn't prove it, I guess.
Because you can't prove anything.
Well, how many? There
were 3 minors.
The 3 against his word. See, that's fucked up.
They don't care. See, here's another, like I told you with my case. I realized, or found out, I didn't realize, I found out, you know, when these lawyers are out in the hallway talking about, I gave you the last 2 cases, this one's mine.
Yeah.
It no longer has to do with who's guilty and not guilty. It's all about their little game, okay? Their little who gets to win this time, or, you know, let's make it easier, and, you know, copping pleas. And they have more evidence nowadays than they did back then. But they have more ways of finding. There are so many innocent people in prison who even admitted to committing a crime they did not commit because they were hassled and kept coerced, or what, that's a nice word, you know, And so is this justice?
No, it's the judicial industry. It's
Wow.
not the system. It's, yeah. They're all on the same team. It's called the Bar Association. Judges.
Well,
attorneys.
it's very sad because I think the principles of this country are wonderful. You know, I think we have freedoms that a lot of countries do not have. And there could be wonderful things about, but somewhere along the line, corruption has crept in to the point where, like you said, this is not a justice system anymore. This revolving door. I met this one little girl, another one. I was considered an old timer. I was 28 years old when I went in.
Crazy.
Okay, and I was considered old time. There were older women
Yeah.
that had been there longer, but I was considered, I wasn't a youngster.
Yeah.
This little 18-year-old girl, she came through the gates one day, and, everybody's there to see who's coming in. She comes through the gates, and she's waving to all her friends. Hey, hi there. Remember last time we were here? I says to her, what do you mean last time you were here? She goes, yeah, I've been here 3 times. I said, 3? You're only 18 years old and you've been here 3 times. How does that happen? I wanted to know, so I didn't
curiosity.
I don't want to make the same mistake, right? So, and that's why I talk to people the way I do. They were all,
Yeah.
first of all, they were tripped out that I'd run around and talk to everybody. Everybody. I didn't just stick to the whites and stick to the Hispanics I ran around and talked to everybody. I want to know everybody's news. Okay.
Hell yeah. That's
So-
how I've never saw race as an issue. It's the content of their character.
Yeah, I wanted to know what everybody. I was taking a real good reflection on everything. Okay, so anyway, back to this little girl and her homegirls. She called them my homegirls. I says, how do you be here 3 times at 18 years old? She goes, let me tell you something. This prison is much better than my home life. I said, how bad can your home life be? She says, well, her mom and dad were strung out on heroin, and they all live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and this is where she asked parole to because it's the only address she knows. The brother's, in and out of the joint all the time, and he lives there, and then there's a couple of kids and a sister. She goes, I get out and I get high, and I'm in violation, and I get sent back. And so, again, I had to take into perspective, yes, things were hard in my life, but I certainly didn't live like that. My parents weren't addicts and, so again, what was my excuse for getting involved in the things I got involved? I came to the conclusion
You're ambitious.
I like adventures and all that drug smuggling and stuff like that. That wasn't to get rich, because I certainly didn't get rich, okay? It was all just an adventure. Going to prison. Everybody in my family thought that was just the most horrendous thing. Well, first of all, I know my grandma told me when I went down, she appeared in court. I didn't want her to, but she did. And she told me, you know what, don't feel so bad. She says, there's more skeletons in our family's closet than you know of. So, again, I looked at the whole thing as a learning lesson. I found that there were some people that were a whole lot worse off than my background.
I wanted to ask you, you know how you're a creature of routine. You know what I mean? You have your schedule.
Yeah,
Do you think,
it didn't change in prison either.
but do you think prison contributed to that? Is that,
No, I've always been a creature of routine, even as a young child. When I was young, I used to get up because See, my parents got up. My dad got up for work, 6 a.m. My mom would get up to make him his tea or whatever his breakfast was. Well, and then the fights began. So I made it a routine and a habit that I was up at 5 a.m. and I pocketed my bus money to go to school, and I walked 5 miles to school. And by the time I got there, school was beginning. Okay? And I did that because I didn't want to hear them screaming and fighting. One time my mother discovered that I was getting up this early and being gone, and she says to me, I don't think I like you out there at that time of the morning. She says, there's weirdos out at that time of the morning. I said, yeah, but them weirdos don't know whether I'm one of those weirdos.
Yeah.
Okay? And then every job I've had was and I started young, so prison, I didn't change in prison any more than I did on the outside. I kept to myself.
You seem like a happy person.
I'm happy now. I was really angry back then. I was very angry. Very, very angry. I was angry at my circumstance. I was angry with my upbringing. I was angry with the injustice. I was angry about a lot of things. So, but prison really, actually, I don't regret going because I learned a lot about myself. For once, I didn't have to run around and party and be, entertaining. I fucking ran that track. They thought I was crazy. I ran that track all day.
That's awesome. I try to look at things like that too. Look at the positive. You know what I mean? A lot of people live in the past and focus on the negative. It's...
Yeah, well, that's pretty miserable.
The biggest lessons I learned were from my fuck ups.
I'm just glad I got to the point where I decided everything in my life has been an adventure. And
That's how you look at it.
yeah, and I'm still gonna venture.
Yeah.
Going down to Mexico next month.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Are you ready to wrap it up?
Sure.
All right. Hey, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Jim Bonus Beats.